Hi everyone, it's Erin from EV Mixed Media. I have a stack of underpaper on my desk, and when I make my videos, I like to put down a fresh, clean sheet of butcher block paper. It protects my work surface. It also just makes it more attractive for the viewer, right? Not to have a lot of stuff on it like this. So I like to build up on my underpaper and then I use it in other projects. But when I'm replacing the sheet to make another video, oftentimes I only have kind of this much stuff on it. So consequently, I have a stack of underpaper that's not interesting, just has a bit of stain on it from something that I've done, and then I'm using something new that barely has a mark. So yesterday, anyway, I had piles and piles of it. So yesterday, I cut it all up into more manageable pieces. And I was thinking I would have a gel printing session, but on a whim, I started just playing with it, and I made this really pretty background paper that I then cut up and just sort of mounted onto these little cards to make, I don't know, little card fronts, or maybe you could frame these, whatever. They're very sweet. So I thought I'd just show you how I did it. It was really quick and simple. I did it in the morning before I went to work. So thought I would just show you how I did it. I started, I believe, with something that was relatively free of there wasn't much on the page. So let me find a good size piece. Let's do this one. And I'll just show you how I made this background. There wasn't much to it. So I started with this Quinacridone Nickel Azo Gold, which is a high flow acrylic from Golden. My understanding is they no longer make this color, which is a crime, honestly. It's one of my most favorite colors ever, and I don't have much left. So I'm gonna start with that. I've got a spray bottle here, and I just sprayed my surface a little bit. And I'm just gonna take my paint here and splatter it around a little bit. And you can see where it hits the water, it starts to disperse. But now I'm going to even spray it more. And this is where the magic starts to happen. And it's a lot of water, but it'll work out. Sometimes I want to keep these big, intense spots, but in other places, I really like to fan it out a bit with my finger, or you could use a brush. Okay, so that's it for that stage, right? So I've just put it around the page, and I'm gonna dry that. And when I dry it, there's enough water on the page that you're gonna see stuff start to disperse. Didn't realize this piece of, oh no, I ripped it. Let's get that piece of tape off of there. We won't mind the rip, we'll just cut around it when we need to. All right, now when I start to dry it, you'll see the water start to run. And that's sort of part of the design. Next, I have this Amsterdam acrylic ink, and this is Reflex Rose. It's like a neon pink. And I'm basically gonna do the same thing, although this is dry, so I'm putting this one on dry. I bought this ages ago and kind of forgot I had it. And now I'm going to add the water. And kind of do the same that I did before, right? Let's get a little bit more here. I can flick it to, and we'll dry that. Next, I want to get some black on here, and I'm going to use my new foam stamps. For these, I used the Topo Map foam stamp, and I used the Bold Circles foam stamp. All my stamps are available at Joggles. They just came out about 2 weeks ago. But for this one, I thought I would use my stacked blocks and fishing net, just to mix things up a little bit. So I've got some black. No, wait, I didn't use this because it's pretty dried out. Let's see, what did I use? I've got this apple barrel pavement, and I just have, this is the piece of palette paper I used. I'm just going to roll it out here. I don't need a lot. Just kind of roll it out on my paper. Is this the one? Yeah, I guess we'll just do this one. And then stamp some of it here. Put that in there. And I'm just going to sort of stamp this across the page. And this is a little scary when you first see it, but hopefully it'll all work out. We don't need it in too many spots. There we go. That's probably good. Next, I'm going to take some of my white gesso and do basically the same thing. Actually, I might give this a quick dry. Let me brayer this out, get some of that black off of there. And this is how you mess up your underpaper, so you have something to use later. Well, I didn't get all the black off. Now I have a gray. Well, let's try it. And this I'm going to want to stamp where it can be seen, not on the white, but on some of the yellow or gold. So now I'm not getting as crisp a white stamp because of the gray or the black. It blended. I had black on my brayer is what I'm trying to say. I'm debating whether I want to keep going. I feel like I'm going to, although that looks cool. Let's try this again. Lesson learned, clean off your brayer. Or the other trick would be to do the white before you do the black. Then you won't have this issue. So we'll try it again. Hopefully I won't have this issue. We'll see. Yeah, much better. Much better. But what did I lose there? A little bit of paint, a little bit of time, a little bit of paper, not a big deal. And it doesn't look horrific, so. Maybe let's just try, I don't love it though. Let's just try stamping over the top of it. I'm sure I'm not gonna be able to line it up perfectly, but it sort of disguises it. Okay, good save. Quick dry again. And you'll want to get these foam stamps, throw them in some water, and they'll clean up great with some soapy water. Next, this is a metallic deco art paint. It's called Festive Green. And let me grab that bag. And I'll just put some of that here. And you know me, I love to use my fingers. And I'm just going to go in and throw some of this in some of the white areas. And this is a good opportunity if you feel like your black is too bold, you can sort of push it back a little bit. And it doesn't seem like these colors should work together, and it might not look like they are working together right now, but they will. Or they do, somehow they do. I guess I'm doing this. Okay. And then there's this rare blot of this blue over here. So let's repeat that as well. And actually, I think that's this Key West color, I'm pretty sure. And to do that, we just put some down on our paper over here. I'm gonna grab my fan brush. Here we go. Get that fan brush a little wet. And I want to get kind of heavy-handed with my splatters here because you really want to see them. Okay, let's try that. Next, I just did some scribbly writing. Asemic, it doesn't say anything, it's not legible. You can actually make it legible if you'd like. But I just like to scribble something, oops. Brings a little more black in, and it's just a little more visually interesting to have. Just another way to add some mark making onto your page. Now, one thing I didn't do on the last one, but I love doing with this fisherman's stamp, is outlining the little squares within the stamp. The negative space. It's what I love about this particular stamp. So you don't have to do that everywhere, and it can be time consuming, but it can also be really relaxing to just sit and do this, I find. But this isn't necessary. You know me though, how I love my gold. I like to add a little more gold as well, just by maybe doing some dots with my gold Posca pen. And they really show up well on the pink. And when you go and cut up your pages, if you end up cutting them up like I did, you can go back in and sort of place these more strategically when you see what your finished piece is going to look like. So that's it. That is all I did to make that paper. And then I cut it up and mounted it on just a piece of heavier watercolor paper. So for this though, I thought it might be fun to make some hearts for Valentine's Day, and maybe I can do something with those. So I think I'm just going to turn this over and draw some hearts on the back to cut out, because I think that's the best way to get as many as I can out of it. And I can make them different sizes and shapes, and some could be wonky. I've cut out all of my hearts, and I'm going to go around each of them with some of this Worn Lipstick Distress Oxide, and just sort of, I already did that one, I guess. I'm going to go around the edges, and it just sort of finishes off the edges in a way that helps to accent the shape when you place it on something else, if that makes sense. It'll make the shape pop out. It defines the outline, essentially. It also allows you, if you've got some white spots that you don't like, you can sort of fill those in. If you've got the Vintage Photo Distress Oxide, that's always a good one to use for this. So just going around the edges real quickly. It's a barely noticeable little accent. But when you mount it onto something, it will make the heart pop out a little bit more. If you don't have the Distress Oxide, you could probably go around it with a pastel or some watercolor maybe. Or even just a Posca pen or something like that, colored pencil. Or a regular ink pad, you could use that too, you know, just like so. You can do that with a regular ink pad. You could do it in black, that would be cool. These turned out really cute. They're really interesting and fun. I did lots of different shapes and sizes. I mean, obviously they're all hearts, just some are more wonky than others, right? So what to do with these? I'm gonna make a journal spread, so let's do it. I've got my Dina Wakley Ledger Journal here. Let's pick a different page that doesn't have a big black spot on it. And I'm gonna do a really, really quick background here. I'm gonna use my brayer. I'm gonna pick up some of the blues that we used. This is called Cloudless. I'm gonna put some of that down here. I don't need that much, but, and I've also got the Key West. Put that down. And then I've got this funky green flash, which I kind of forgot I had it. This is another gloss metallic, which is very similar to the one I used on here, but it's just a little bit brighter, a little more grello. Put some of that down. And I'm gonna put some white gesso down. And I'm going back to my brayer. And let's start with the Cloudless. And I'm just gonna roll this across the page. Just like so. This is a really quick way to get color on your page. You get a lot of great texture with the brayer. And now I'm gonna mix in some of this Key West. And I'm gonna go the other direction just for fun. And then I think I want to tone it down a little bit. So I'm going to do a little bit of white. That might have been more than I wanted, but, and then I'm going to go over it with the green. And again, I'll go the opposite direction. Or I can go lots of different directions, really. But look what a fun background page. Boom, right? Let me dry that. So you got some great texture using the brayer. It took me less than 2 minutes, I would say. But I want to get a little bit more visual interest on here as well. So I'm going to go back to my foam stamps. This is my Raining Rectangles foam stamp. And these are great for making backgrounds. And I'll just even stamp it into this white. And I'm just going to go over it with the white. So this won't be too distracting in the background, but it just gives a nice pattern and a little more dimension and depth. Oops. And you don't even need a lot of paint. You can get a lot of presses and stamps from just the one one or two dips, right? There we go. That's our background. Boom. Easy peasy. So then I thought I would just take my little hearts and lay them out on my page. We're going to make this really simple. Making art in your journal doesn't have to be a massive chore. All right? That one's kind of... Just kind of varying the sizes here around the page. So something like that, maybe. Let's glue those down. And you can see the pink line kind of helping define that heart on the page. Next I have these great, they're called tip-ins. They're cutouts that Carolyn Duncan made in collaboration with Joggles. And you can tape them in to your journal page. What I like to do though is just kind of mount them onto the page. I think it's sort of fun to just put them down. But this one I want to go ahead and paint black. So I've just got my brush. And one thing that's kind of fun when you do this is to actually do it. Whoops, I forgot to glue that one down. There we go. When you do it, it's fun to paint it on another page in your journal. Because then you're going to get the outline of the letters. The trick is to just hold it in place, but it'll function as a mask, right? I think I might have moved it, I'm not sure. Well, I was a little heavy-handed, but that'll be cool to begin a background on your journal at another point. I want to ground these a little bit more on the page. So what I'm going to do, and I'm always nervous doing this, is I'm going to outline these. And I'm not going to be too particular. And in fact, I'm going to go around it more than one time. And the less particular you are with it, I think, the better it looks. Let's make these hanging hearts. Why not? So next, I'm debating, I don't know if I want to cut this up. I think I might. I think I will. I hope I don't ruin it. Yeah, then I can space them out a little bit better, I think. Yeah. I'm going to do that. Finally, to make these letters pop even more, I'm going to go back through and add a faux stitch to them, which I think is fun. I've done this before and I love how it turned out. It's time consuming, but it's cool. So I'm seeing places I need to glue down better. I'm just going to go along here and make some faux stitching marks like so. And there we go. That's it. I'm loving how that turned out. Super cute and really easy. So I hope that gave you some ideas for using up some of your underpaper, creating these really messy backgrounds. Once you cut them up, they look so amazing. I still have a sheet left that I can do something with. I've got a few hearts left. And then this, showing you how to do this background on here, a really easy way to make a background page in your journal. So I hope this gave you some inspiration and some ideas, especially as Valentine's Day approaches. I'll be back soon with another video. You can always find me on Instagram, as I always say, EB Mixed Media. That's EB_Mixed Media. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.